Emmanuel, God is with us. Emmanuel, God is with us. Hey guys, I'm out in the garden like we all have been, struggling to put more food in our gardens than we ever have, because things are kind of light at the grocery store because people are hoarding, and it's causing panic and all kinds of stuff. Behind me is my lovely berry patch, which is starting to leaf out, as you can kind of see here. But I want to talk about why you should not be trying to grow food for a year and you've never gardened in your life, okay? All those videos that are coming out from the gardening community, from people saying, here's how much food you need to grow for a year, and you need this and you need that, and essentially they're leaving out the fact that you need about an acre of land. Where are you gonna get that? All this time you've been growing a lawn, and it's been your pride and joy. Maybe you got an oak tree or something like that. You don't have space to grow a year's worth of food. Also, I'm hearing people tell you that grow what your family likes to eat. Newsflash, this is just the truth for you. If you go into your grocery store when they have food and you look at that little sticker on the food that tells you where it's grown from, most of the food that we eat is not grown in the United States of America. Not that we can't grow it, but we couldn't grow it and eat it all year long. Food is a seasonal thing. When you grow it in your yard, it's a seasonal thing. And I understand that people don't know this because my mother will often tell me she wants me to grow a certain vegetable at a certain time. And it's the time when you harvest the vegetable. A lot of people want to grow it when you harvest it. Usually when you can harvest the vegetable, the plant won't start growing. It won't grow from a seed at that time. There's a lot of complications to gardening. Secondly, what if you're like in America and you really enjoy eating mangoes? You might not live in an area where mangoes grow. Maybe pineapples and pineapple upside down cake, some of your favorite food. So this whole idea of growing what your family eats is not really the best choice. You have to grow what grows good in your area. And in a situation of hunger, your family will eat that, Really. That's why if you look at what I'm saying to grow for right now in your garden, it's different from what everybody else is telling you. I'm not telling you who have never gardened to go out and plant acres of farmland. First of all, that would require a significant investment in land, fertilizer, seed, time, energy, equipment. It's just unrealistic. And I'll tell you, to those of you who are giving people this kind of advice, you're doing a big disservice to this new gardening community that we're having. You're going to frustrate people and they're going to quit. Because I'm just going to put it out there and tell the truth. These people are lying to you. Okay? Their gardens, if you watch their videos, they're telling you to grow potatoes, then they're showing you that this year their potatoes didn't do good. You're a brand new gardener. For an old gardener like me, an old soldier like me, if I have a crop failure, it's not a big deal. I got tons of other things growing that are doing well. I'll try again next year. But you're a brand new gardener. And I'm going to tell you, certain crops are difficult, and the seasons, they are seasonal. Like people tell you to grow potatoes. Potatoes are a winter crop where I live, and they're a spring crop most other places. So maybe you hit it right to grow potatoes now, or maybe it's too late for you. A lot of the places in the South are talking about it's already 80 degrees, so it's too late for you to grow potatoes. If you are in the North and it's still snowing, well, then it's fine. You're great for potato season. And then people are giving you this advice talking about Only grow seed potatoes that you get from a registered grower. This is not the time for that crap. You know, this is not the time for that rich person's crap. Those seed potatoes have been sold out and we all know it. You know, we buy them every year. They make those seed potatoes for us regular ardent gardeners. And these little companies can only produce enough to suit what has been their market. They didn't know about this COVID and all these new people who are going to be trying to grow some seed. You're going to have to go to your farmer's market or to your grocery store or Whole Foods. And if you want to grow potatoes, that's where you're going to have to get your potatoes to grow. And all of us do it. We parrot out all this crap to people. You only want to grow certified seed potatoes. They don't have any disease and they don't have any this and they don't have any that. And we know full well if our potato sprouts, we will put that potato out in the garden and grow it. Okay? But potatoes are a problem. I don't recommend you start with potatoes if you are a new gardener because they do come with some disease challenges. They only grow in certain times of the year. If you get too much water, they are a root vegetable growing underneath the ground. They're going to rot and you will have no food. You can't eat the tops of them. So it's not like you're even going to get food later. Okay? I do recommend sweet potatoes. I have seen people in Michigan be able to be successful with sweet potatoes. They grow fast, and the leaves on the sweet potato vine are edible, so eat the leaves if you are in a short season, and if you get potatoes, so be it, okay? That sort of thing. I just want to get the idea out of your head of growing a year's worth of food for your family, and you have never grown a garden in your life, and you don't know how to fertilize, you don't know how to prepare the soil, you don't know how to weed, you don't know that there's a lot of stuff in the store that is toxic, herbicides and stuff like that. So if you've been using herbicides on your grass and you pull that grass out the ground because now you want to grow food, food might not grow because you got something in there. A herbicide, food is herb. Okay? So an herbicide that you've been using to kill weeds in your grass, weeds are another name for food. So you've been making sure food won't grow in your grass because you want a nice, pretty lawn. I'm not putting you down. I have no love for lawns at all. But that's because I've been poor and needed food. And looking at a lawn, it made me angry, you know, because if there was some food there, I could have made it, you know. But in any event, that's just me. But I know that if you pull up a lawn, you might have to get a bulldozer to pull out that soil and plant something else. You know, if you pull up a deck or some concrete, there you probably have soil that's great. And then this depends. If your neighbor's poisoning their lawn and the runoff comes into yours, hey, we live in the city, then it's going to poison your garden and you might not be able to grow anything. I've had that happen to me. I've had a whole side of my garden die because my neighbor was using pesticide or some kind of poison. Also, one time my neighbor put rat poison right next to my vegetable garden and it rained. I couldn't eat that food after that. So you got all these situations in the city that will come up, you know, they will come up. You know, so I have some beginning seed ideas. None of them tell you to grow a year's worth of food. I am suggesting that you buy your dried beans from the grocery store when they have them. Buy your dried rice from the grocery store when they have them. Buy your potatoes from the grocery store when they have them, okay? And then what you need to be healthy is going to be green food, okay? You need green food to be healthy. Everybody's thinking, oh, well, you can't fill up on green food. That's questionable. There's a lot of vegetarians that find a way to fill up on green food. There's a whole country called India, and if you eat Indian food, they find a way to fill up on a lot of green food. A lot of people in Africa find a way to fill up on green food. There again, see, when you get into eating vegetables, you got to educate yourself on how to cook them, how to prepare them. kind of thing. You're going into a whole different world. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're eating vegetarian and you're trying to still eat the American standard diet, I've seen vegetarians' bones crack and they almost die and had to switch over to eating meat. Just because the way we eat a vegetable, a starch, and a meat, you're not getting your vitamins out of it. But if you eat like the Indians, some Asians, particularly ones that are in religions where they are vegetarians, for you who are supplementing your diet and trying to provide yourself with food security, potatoes are a difficult crop. Not much grows after them, so I don't recommend it to start. I recommend that you go to the store to buy your potatoes. A lot of people who have these potato vegetables videos, a lot of them that aren't in the perfect area to grow potatoes, they then have to go to a container garden because their soil's been poisoned, and they don't tell you that, or you see them saying, oh, I'm starting a new garden. That's because their old garden's been poisoned and they can't grow in it. I'm giving you the foods to grow that if you had a small garden like me, I have, I think, 20 by 20, and you're growing food out of it every year. You can grow these foods safely. They're not going to damage your soil. You do have to do some crop rotation, but not a whole lot. And you will be successful. These are the foods that you will be successful in, okay? So take a look at those videos. I mean, I know, everybody wants to grow tomatoes. You can get a can of tomatoes that has like 20 tomatoes in it. You can get a can right now for $1. So when people say, oh, tomatoes are good, well, they mean like fresh tomatoes for a salad. But a jar of spaghetti sauce is $1, and it hasn't gone up yet. A lot of things have gone up, but spaghetti hasn't. And so I wanted to get that out there to you. If you're just starting out gardening, go with the crops that I suggest to you. I have one for a container garden that's already out, and I have one where I show you the crops that you can grow for vegetables in your first year and be successful. I kind of tried to suggest some vegetables that grow in cool areas, some vegetables that grow in mid-range climates like my own, and then some vegetables that grow in hot climates, because that's what we're all dealing with now. We're going to a time of the year, like even now, I'm out in my garden doing a video, and you see the sun's hitting me hard on this side. I'm in complete shadow over here. That doesn't mean too much to you. You guys are like, oh, she needs better lighting. I'm outside, people. This is my garden. And I'm talking to you about gardening. But that would mean something to somebody who was thinking of planting seed, because there's a sunny side where you plant things that like sun, and there's a shadowed side where you would plant things that don't like as much sun. And when you plant food, that matters. You can't just plant it where you think it's going to be nice, or, oh, this is where I want my vegetable garden. You can't do that. So that's why I'm not saying plant a whole bunch of food at one time, because you will have spent thousands of dollars on seed and soil and fertilizer, and you haven't even learned how to do it yet. Plant things that you could be successful with. Do your research. You do have to do research. There's a ton of stuff, all different people gardening in all different zones. See what people who are in your zone are growing. Call up your local assets. There's always like a organization for growing in your area. There's a farming area in your area, and there's people who are avid hobbyist farmers, and they will tell you what they're growing right now and where to grow it and that kind of thing. You're gonna need help to get this thing right. It's not as easy as putting a seed in the soil and it's all good. Jesus loves you, and I love you with all the Jesus in me. Be blessed, beautiful.